General Vector, leader of the Crixian Armada, gazed out from the command deck of his flagship. The Crixians, a warrior race feared across the galaxy, had conquered hundreds of worlds, effortlessly crushing any resistance that dared to challenge them. Today, however, they faced something unusual. Are the scanners malfunctioning? Vector demanded, his voice echoing through the metallic hall. His second-in-command, a younger Crixian named Krithel, nervously glanced at the tactical display. No, General. The data is confirmed. It's just one ship. The Crixian general's mandibles clicked in irritation. One ship, against his entire fleet. This had to be some sort of joke. The Crixians had been warned that humans were unpredictable, but this was a different level of arrogance. He growled lowly, looking at the massive formation of his 10,000-strong fleet, gleaming under the harsh light of a distant star. Humans, Vector sneered, always believing they're special. Let's teach them the futility of standing against the Crixian Empire. He raised a clawed hand and gave the order. Send the forward assault wings. Overwhelm them. Moments later, thousands of Crixian warships surged forward, forming a tidal wave of destruction toward the lone human vessel. Vector watched with satisfaction as his armada moved with military precision, their energy weapons primed for what he expected to be a quick and decisive victory. The human ship, a sleek and modest-looking vessel compared to the Crixian behemoths, remained eerily still. No defensive maneuvers, no counterattacks. This will be over before it begins, Vector chuckled. Typical human bravado. But then, something strange happened. The human ship glowed faintly, the hull lighting up with lines of energy, as if it were charging for something monumental. The Crixians had seen their fair share of planetary defense systems, but this was unlike anything they had encountered. General, Krithel began, his voice suddenly tinged with fear. I'm detecting a massive energy surge from the human ship. It's off the charts. Before Vector could respond, the human vessel unleashed a blinding pulse. A single beam of light, thin and concentrated, shot forth from the ship's core. It wasn't a conventional weapon. It didn't behave like any missile, laser, or plasma cannon. The beam struck the center of the Crixian assault force, and in an instant, the ships it touched dissolved into nothingness. One by one, in rapid succession, Crixian warships exploded into bright flashes, as if they were being torn apart by some unseen force. The wave of destruction spread rapidly. In less than a minute, hundreds of ships vanished from the fleet's ranks, leaving nothing behind but debris and silence. Vector's confident expression faltered. What is this? How are they? General, they're obliterating our ships. The beam, it's slicing through our energy shields like they aren't even there. Krithel shouted, panic evident in his voice. The Crixian general's eyes widened in horror. His fleet, his unbeatable 10,000-strong armada, was being decimated by a single human ship. He stared at the tactical display, now filled with flashing red dots, signaling the destruction of his vessels. The annihilation continued at an alarming rate. Pull back, Vector roared, gripping the edge of his command console. All ships, retreat. But it was too late. The human ship's weapon continued its deadly sweep across the battlefield. The Crixian ships attempted evasive maneuvers, but the beam was relentless, tracking and erasing them from existence with surgical precision. General, Krithel screamed, we're losing. His words were cut off by an explosion nearby as a shockwave rippled through the Crixian flagship. Vector's legs buckled as the deck shook violently beneath him. His ship had been hit. Impossible, he muttered. How can a single human ship possess such power? As the Crixian fleet crumbled around him, Vector watched the human ship slowly advance, gliding through the battlefield like a predator toying with its prey. The remaining ships, those lucky enough to have escaped the initial blast, scattered in disarray. Chaos erupted across the Crixian comm channels. The once proud and disciplined fleet was now in a full-blown retreat, their morale shattered beyond repair. Suddenly, the human ship halted its attack. A communication signal appeared on Vector's console. It was coming from the human vessel. Patch it through, Vector ordered, his voice trembling with a mixture of rage and fear. A holographic image flickered into view. A human stood on the other side, calm, composed, and completely unconcerned. The figure wore a simple uniform, devoid of the grandeur or intimidation that Vector expected from such a devastating foe. General Vector, the human captain began, I would advise you to retreat now and never return. You were warned not to challenge humanity. Consider this a demonstration of what happens when you do. Vector seethed with fury, but deep down he knew the battle was already lost. His fleet was in tatters. He had no choice. "You will regret this," Vector snarled, his pride stinging. The human captain merely smiled. "I believe it's you who will be doing the regretting, General. Tell your people what happened here today. The next time, we won't be so merciful." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Vector standing alone in the wreckage of his command deck. Around him, the remnants of his once mighty fleet drifted in space, lifeless and broken. For the first time in his long career, General Vector, conqueror of worlds, feared by millions, felt the icy grip of fear. Humanity had just changed the rules of warfare, and they had done it with one ship.